Welcome to the Veterans Growing America podcast. I am here with my gracious co-host, Donnell Johns, my gracious host, the man, the myth, the legend. And we also have a special guest today, P.T. Bratton, who is a 10-year Air Force veteran and also is bringing to us clean comedy connection, and he's going to tell us all about the connection with VGA and how he is the funniest man in the Air Force and beyond. Welcome to the show, my man.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Glad to be here. And when you said that the funniest man, I was like, listen, Shannon, I am the funniest man in all the branches, okay?
Oh, man.
I'm sorry.
I love it. I love it already. This is gonna be
what a way to kick off the year, right? You're like, all he did was ask him how you doing, and he's like, let me tell you about Steve Harvey. Hold on, what? I don't like. What if I did that? I just hijacked the podcast. Like, just start talking about.
I'm ready for it. I got my notes and everything.
This is why I can't stand the Navy. Like why? Why? I can't stand it. All them boats. That's what brought us black people over here in the first place. I can't join the Navy. What's wrong with y'all? Like,
Oh man, I can tell we're gonna have a great time.
Oh yeah, it's about to be amazing.
We're about to have a great time tonight.
Oh man, it's about to be good
tonight. PT. Hey, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure having you on the podcast. I get to see you at least once a month, when we're doing the Clean Comedy Connection. Mm-hmm. But I want to make sure that our audience gets to know you intimately before we break their spines in laughter. Can you tell us a little bit about your military background and experience?
Okay. So I don't know how intimate he wants you to actually, for me to get, it all started on a stormy night in May. No, I was in the Air Force. I did 10 years in the Air Force as a cop. I know like a cop. I know. I watched cop shows growing up, so it's a long story. I thought that being a cop would be cool. I didn't know I was black at the time, and nobody really told me, but you usually belong in the back of the car, sir. Like they didn't tell me that, you shouldn't really be riding up front. So I was just trying to be all I could be. I'm sorry. I was trying to aim high. That's what these guys were being all they could be. I joined the Air Force. The Army recruiter he really wanted me. I don't know why. My ASVAB scores, I guess, they were really, off the chart because the recruiter kept calling me. He kept popping up in my school, and I said, "Sir, I'm not interested. I really want to go in the Air Force." And he was like, "Well, if that don't work out for you, you can always join the Army." And I was like, "Okay, thanks." But I had my eyes set on Air Force for whatever reason. It could have been because Wonder Woman. If you later seasons, OSI, Air Force. I was like, man, that's it. The funny thing is, I tell people the story all the time. I wanted to join the Air Force because I watched Top Gun. Now, go with me on this. Some of y'all are like, that's a Navy. Those were Navy aviators, right? I'm like, yeah. But I realized I didn't want to take off from a ship. I wanted to take off from the ground. So the next best thing was the Air Force. Then I got in the Air Force. I realized you can't be a pilot with glasses. So that, yeah, they should have told me that before I signed up. But I did want to be a pilot. I thought being a pilot would be cool. Then I said, well, what's the next best thing? To carry guns legally carry guns. I thought that would be really cool. So be a cop, protect and serve and all that. And so I did 10 years in the Air Force. I did everything. Well, I didn't do everything. I started off as like a beat cop, checking badges and IDs at the gate, pulling people over, traffic stops. And then I got into transition to investigation. So then I was like Secret Squirrel. I was I was dressed like a civilian, and I gave myself a thumbs up. Yeah. It was funny because y'all remember Martin? People used to call me Tommy because they felt like I didn't have no job because I was never like I didn't have a uniform. I wasn't wearing a uniform, and I was never in the office. I was always out and about on base. And they're like, "Man, you ain't got no job." I'm like, "I'm working right now. I'm working. This is what investigation is all about." So, anyway, that's my story. I'm sticking to it.
Hey, I love it. So, I got tears in my eyes, and I can't even get out my second question, man. This is amazing. Yeah. So, in your journey throughout the military, how did you transition into being a comedian? And most people that I know have always been funny, but how did you seize the opportunity in your transition?
Yeah. So I'm what we call situationally funny. And so it was never a desire for me to be a stand-up comedian. It was never on my radar. I was actually a licensed minister while I served in the military. I was licensed at age 14, and then I was ordained at my first duty station, Great Falls, Montana. So I was licensed and ordained. I was a minister. It wasn't until I got out of the military that I really discovered stand-up. I got married. I met my wife in Japan. And if Facebook just reminded me of this story, so it's real fresh in my mind that I was pastoring, and she had made a comment about how she liked the way I would crack jokes while I preached. Like, I would make jokes while I'm preaching to keep people engaged. And she, like, in another life, I could see him being a comedian. So that was in like February. March, we got tickets to a comedy show because her birthday's in March. We went to the show. I saw a cat that's now one of my mentors in comedy, and the way he told jokes was like how I crack jokes in my sermons. So I was like, Vita, I think I can do this. And she's like, yeah. So that was the beginning of the story. Basically, just like, all right, I think I can do this. And then we found a program is by it's called a comedy boot camp. It's put on by Armed Services Arts Partnership, or ASAP, and it's free for veterans and their families, and veteran affiliated people. So things just lined up. So like, here I am, I think I'm funny, and then you got a class. Go see if you're funny. Go see if you can make people laugh that you don't know, because it's easy to make people laugh that know you, right? But when you get up in front of a room of strangers and you can connect with them and get them to laugh, it's amazing. It's nothing like it.
So most people don't know that comedy is a business, right? They think that you just get up there, you tell jokes, and you go home. But it's a full-fledged business. I mean, people like Kevin Hart and all of these other comedians out there. So describe to me what inspired you to start your own business of comedy.
People wouldn't hire me, Donnell. That's what inspired me. I have some miles to fill. I got miles to fill, man. And these jokers like to eat 3 times a day. I was not getting booked, and I was like, you know what? Let me book myself. Kevin Hart, big shout out to Kevin Hart. If you're listening, one of my examples in comedy, he's one of the hardest working comedians out there. And I know people are like, he's not that funny. That dude, you can't outwork him though. You can say what you want to say, but you can't outwork him. And while you talk about he's not being funny, that dude is still, he's stacking up papers, and he's thinking of new ways to be creative and to expand his brand. And that's inspiring to me, because when I got to the point where people weren't booking me, I'm serious, I had to book myself. And I'm like, so as I create this platform where I can perform, I'm also creating space for other people to perform. So the partnership with VGA came about because I was looking for a spot. I was looking for a spot for us to do our shows regularly. And it was such a great fit because I'm a veteran. This is a spot that highlights veteran-owned businesses. And a lot of my comedian friends are veterans. And it's like, oh my gosh, matter of fact, I teach the class for ASAP now, the class that I went through, the boot camp. So I'm helping to produce other veteran comics. And I'm like, this is a great spot for them to come, because it's this is our audience. This is us. Like, we can make jokes at VGA that we can't make other places. Like, other places, we got to explain it. Here, we don't have to explain it. We have that common bond. We have that similar experience. It's nothing like it. It's a friendly audience. Even when they talk back, they're not heckling you. If they talking back, that's because you talking the talk. You talking right. You know what I mean? Even if we always make fun of each other's branch and all that stuff. So even that kind of stuff is just, it's great. It's just great. But I mean, the business side, to your point, Donnell, it's work. And I think a lot of comedians don't understand that they just want to get discovered. They just want to be put on. But you got to put in work. You got to work to be funny. You got to work to write material. You got to work on your stage presence. But you also, I think, if you want to be successful and you want to go far, you have to learn the business. You have to learn. You think about all the musical artists, I watched growing up, and a lot of them that are still in the game are the ones that learn the business. They learn how to not just make the music, but to produce and to help others make music and to, you know what I mean? Like that's really how you stay relevant, is to be everyone. I know it's not for everybody, but for me, that's how I'm wired.
So tell me a little bit about Clean Cut Connection. So I was listening to like I think it was Country Wayne. He was talking about how he uses his comedy and clean comedy to really project himself in a business, because that makes him a little bit more flexible. Is that kind of the same concept? How did you come up with Clean Comedy Connection, and then how do you guys operate?
So, I mean, Clean Comedy Connection is an extension of who I am. Being a minister, that's just who I am. So I don't cuss in my daily life. So I'm not going to get up on stage and try to be a cusser. That's not one of the big things about comedy is being authentic. Now, there's people out there that have this persona and they've been doing it so long that they get on stage and it's believable. But starting out, people can see right through that. So I'm like, I'm going to be me. This is who I am, just a little more exaggerated. And I wanted to do comedy where everybody can come and laugh, because everybody needs to laugh. So if laughter is good for all, why don't we have comedy that's for everybody? You know what I mean? Why don't we have comedy that's for all? Like, sometimes the blue and the raunchy stuff, it just gets too much. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, you know what I mean? You just want to laugh, but then some people just, when you don't put parameters on people, and this is why some people just go too far. Like they don't know. Some people I've worked with them, on shows that are quote unquote rated R, and they're not that dirty. They might throw a couple colorful words in there, but their content is not raunchy. But then other people, man, you work on a rated R show and they feel like they can talk about dark subjects, about like murder, suicide, abortion. Like they just go real dark. And I'm like, we're supposed to make people laugh. Like that's not funny and then so this is where I get to in the veteran space. A lot of veteran comics feel like, oh well, veteran comedy is dark, and I'm like, no, it doesn't have to be, because we all serve. And I'm like, we were in the dark place. We don't need to make, you know what I'm saying? Like we used to make jokes to get us out of the darkness. Like you know what I'm saying? Like, so I don't agree with that at all, that veterans like dark comedy. I'm like, no, I think we actually need comedy that's uplifting because of the things that we've seen, the things that we were called upon to do. Man, we need something to get us out of that place, not, waddle in it. I don't buy that.
No, that's an amazing thought. Amazing thought.
When you speak about transition and then transitioning from the military to the business world, what are some of the challenges that you went through in your transition from the military to the business world? Oh,
that's a good question. If anybody's listening from the TAPS program, please give me a call. 777-9311. No, reach out to me, because I want to help us transform the TAPS program, the transition assistant program. Because when I went through it, it was just about, hey, let me help you fix your resume so that you can get a job. And we never really explored. I don't know what they're doing now, but I know they didn't do that for me. They didn't explore other options. Like, what if, are you interested in entrepreneurship? Let's show you some programs that you can plug right into coming out. You know what I mean? That would have been tremendous, for me to have that kind of, again, I gave myself a thumbs up. I made a good point. It would have been tremendous for me to have that kind of direction, you know what I mean? Because I was wired like that. So I wandered around, so to speak, in the workforce for a few years, trying to fit in. And civilian life is different. the military life, right? So when you working in the military, we have a different time, situation, structure, and all that kind of thing. The thing I struggled with was people watching my time on the outside, and nobody's life was on the line. So like, why are we worried about? Why are we worried about the few minutes? You know what I mean? Like, I didn't quite understand. In the military, they always say, "Hey, if you're late, somebody could die." It was that kind of situation, right? So you got to be on time, you got to be early, you got to be where you got to be. But you know, on the outside, I'm like, I'm working in a cubicle. I don't know how these minutes matter it to that extent. You know what I'm saying? Like, I hit my quota for calls. I don't know what more you want from me. You know what I mean? Like, I got 100 calls in. It was like, anyway. So the transition was kind of rough. But ASAP, I'm gonna shout them out again. They were really good at helping me find my community, where I could connect. I only did 10 years. I said only. That's 10 years is a decade. But that's crazy, right? I only did. But anybody that serves know that that's not your full term, right? You do 20 and then you retire. So I only did half of that. So that's why I say only. That's how we think in the military. That if you did not retire, you're not really a veteran. That has started to change, but when I was coming through, that's what it was. You know, the people that were retiring, they spent all this time with them, telling them about their benefits, telling them about, you know, their retirement and all that stuff. And me, I was separating, and they were like, "Bye." They're like, "Boy, bye." You know what I mean? And that's another thing that was really tough. You know, so it took a while for me to really realize, you know what, I am a veteran. I did serve. You know, we're talking about what, 1% of the population actually served. I'm a part of that 1%. And not only did I just do 4, you know, and hit the door, I did 10. And my wife would, if she was on here, she would tell you he almost did 11. So I mean, so yeah, so the transition was interesting. And another reason why I love VGA, because I feel like this is a space that encourages veteran entrepreneurship, right? It encourages us to put our skills to use. It's great. It's great. They got classes, and we've been talking about how we can partner even with that, how we can bring some more educational programs to VGA and to the veterans and to serve the veteran community. So long answer, I'm sorry. Again, I'm Cat Williams. I'm like, y'all brought me on here. I'm gonna talk my truth. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm gonna tell my truth.
No, I love it, and I believe it's all truthful and very helpful. You know, me as an active duty member, this is one of those things that we need to learn and understand as veterans. Watch those before us who have carved out these paths, and whether it is 10 or 20 years, you know, the perception is just still the same. This person has served and has given me the vision of what it looks like after, and that is absolutely what you're carving out now. One of the questions that I want to ask you really is, in those 10 years of service, what are some of the lessons that you've learned that really trickle down into how you operate in business now?
Okay. Relationship. Relationship is everything. Relationship. It's the economy. It's the currency of the personal account, whatever that. I'm not messing it up, but just imagine I had it right and it was eloquent. But that really, it's stuff. That's what makes the world go round. Relationships. We put so much emphasis on money. Money is just a resource. You know, you can't get to that resource if you don't have the right relationships. So that's what I learned in my 10 years in the military. You know, I had bad assignments, just like we all have, right? Where we didn't really enjoy being there. We had whether it's a supervisor that we didn't like. Normally it's a supervisor that we didn't like. That's usually what makes it unpleasant. You know what I mean? Like, people that work for us, they might get on our nerves, but it's not the same kind of unpleasantness if you got a supervisor that is terrible. But even in those places, you know, when you find people and you can relate to, you can connect with, it makes something unpleasant bearable. And then I'll never forget. I went to we were getting ready to deploy. I was slated to deploy, and we went out to Silver Flag Alpha out there in Vegas, and I met another cop who we were not working on the same flight, but we connected. And then he was like, "Man, you should come work over where we work." I said, "Well, we work at command. We work at the ACC, at the command over here." I was like, "Really?" "Yeah, we work for the generals and with that." I'm like, "Oh, okay. Well, sign me up, sir." You know what I'm saying? So I get back and I put my application in. I get an interview. I get selected, and I was like, "Bye-bye flight. I'm over here working for the generals now." So like, and it was kind of like, "Well, how'd you get that?" How did I get that? I got that because I connected with somebody. It's relationship, right? So he put a good word in. I met this guy out there in Vegas. He's a good dude. Boom, right? And then my deployment got canceled, but that's a whole nother story. So then I'm like, "Oh, I got a new job and I don't have to deploy." I'm like, "Look at God." So yeah, hopefully that answered the question. But no, that's the main takeaway, because even in investigations, it's all about relationships. I took pride in not having to badge people. You know what I mean? Like if y'all know, if anybody listening knows what I'm talking about, like that's when you got your badge and your credentials and you pull it out, Agent Bratton. You know what I mean? Like you want to flash it at people. And I took pride in not having to pull out my credentials, right, to get what I need without having to do that. And that takes relationships, right? So I would go over and I got to check records. I got to check files. And one time, a person came in the office. They were the new person in the office. I'm sitting at the desk checking records, and they're like, "Hold on, who are you? What is going on here?" And then the other people came in. Oh, he's good. He's good. He's he's doing such and such. And they're like, "Okay, tell us the story." I was like, "Okay, so I was working this case, but it was all about." So that's kind of like the currency, right? So I would come in and tell them a story about one of the cases that we did, and they'd be like, "Oh, okay," and then I check the records. But I built that relationship, right? So that when we needed them, like when stuff hits the fan and you got to start talking to people, now I got this relationship. I can just call them up. You know what I mean? But like, "Hey, this is Bratton. This went down. I need y'all to do such. They're like, "Yeah, whatever you need." But y'all feel what I'm saying, right? Like some people didn't get that. They didn't grasp that. You can't just come over and be like, "Oh, my authority," they can take you through the ringer. Like they can take you through, like if you're not going to be nice to people, we can make it difficult. Y'all all know that. You know what I'm saying? Like, so relationships, that's it.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So this is my favorite question because it allows you to dream a little bit, right?
Okay.
So what are your plans and goals for the Clean Comedy Connection? Tell me tell me about that.
So, I mean, part of it we've already started. I recorded my first stand-up special last November, VGA. So C3 is now an official multi-production company. So we're not just producing pop-up comedy shows, we're also producing stand-up specials. So I want that to expand. I want the things that we can produce to expand. I'm writing some scripts. Hopefully C3 can get into that. The filmmaking production as well. So yeah, I got big dreams. You know what I mean? I got big hopes and dreams. I feel like clean comedy is making a comeback. And I know back in the day, clean comedy was the thing. And then you had people like Richard Pryor, Eddie Murphy. They went against the grain. Remember Bill Cosby, like, he tried to tell Eddie Murphy, don't cuss, don't do da da da. And Eddie Murphy's like, "Forget you." And then, that became the end thing to do blue comedy. But I feel like it's a resurgence of people that was like, "You know what? I don't really need all that." Like as long as it's funny, I don't really necessarily need all that. And there's some people out there that if you watch them, they don't cuss at all, if not much or at all, right? And some of us, we don't even miss it, but we don't know we missing it until somebody says, "Oh, it's clean," and they're like, "Man, that's not funny. That's not gonna be funny." Mm-hmm. So the big overall thing is just to help bring clean comedy back to the forefront. And one of my goals is to really identify funny comedians who work clean, so that we can dispel that rumor that clean isn't funny.
I love it. I love it. VGA is a family environment, and it's so cool. You know, if people come out to Veterans Growing America, especially, you know, to watch Clean Comedy Connection, they'll see it's a family environment. Not only is my son a part of Veterans Growing America, my wife a part of Veterans Growing America, but your family is also a part of the Clean Comedy Connection.
Mm-hmm. That's
Can you
it.
talk about your experience, you know, with VGA and bringing your family in with what we're doing?
Well, I'm happy it's family oriented, because family is cheap labor, and I employ my children. All I gotta do is buy some Chick-fil-A. They're like, all right, we call it square. I'm like, cool. That's well, now Chick-fil-A they went up on their prices, so I don't know about that. I don't know if we're gonna be able to do that much longer, man. We went and got a couple kids meal, and I had to take out a loan. I'm like, this is ridiculous. Why you want to know my credit score? I just want some chicken nuggets. Why? Why do you got a loan person like a car dealership that, we're gonna take you back to the finance department? No, this is not right. This is un-American. Like, come on now. You gonna pay cash or you gonna finance this Chick-fil-A? No, we're not doing it. We're not. But no, I love my family being a part of it. Another reason why we did Clean is because I want my family to be a part of it. When I first started out, my kids were much younger, and I would go to comedy shows and they're like, Daddy, I want to go with you. I'm like, you can't go with me. I'm going to be clean, but I don't know what everybody else is going to be doing. So to create a space where they can be there, they can be a part. Both of my sons love to laugh. My youngest son is a comedian himself. I know you've seen him. That doesn't happen in most spaces with comedy where he can even get up. We did a show at over in Alexandria, first night Alexandria, and it was funny because kids actually came to the show because they knew that there was going to be a kid comic on there, which I thought was really cool. So anyway, I love family oriented things because I am definitely a family man. I love my family. We are very tight knit. We sleep in the same room. We are that close that the house is small too, but that's neither here nor there. That's probably why we're in the same room. But anyway, pray for me. My Cash App will be in the chat. Okay.
Hey, if anybody wanted to solicit your services, how do they get a hold of you?
Oh, yeah, well, you could just go to social media over here at PT Bratton, or you can find me online at ptbratton.com. I'm on all the platforms except for TikTok, because that's owned by China.
This was awesome, PT. Thank you again for sharing the love on Veterans Growing America podcast.
Absolutely.
Where we provide.
Thank y'all for having me. I appreciate y'all letting me tell my truth.
Thank you. Thank you.
Next time when y'all have me back, I'm going to talk about other comics so we can go viral.
Hey, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. We hop on my podcast and we'll get busy.
Yes.
I love it. I love it.
Hey, so Donnell, can you do me a favor? Tell the listeners how do they support Veterans Growing America?
So first and foremost, I need you guys to go to veteransgrowingamerica.com and either become a member, donate, or just come out to our events that we have every month. We have a pop-up shop Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We have Clean Comedy Connection out there the fourth Saturday of every month. And then we have our Veterans Connect the third Thursday of the month. And so y'all can come out and find out exactly what we have going on our website, veteransgrowingamerica.com, or find us on all social media platforms at Veterans Growing America. And we do some amazing stuff with some amazing people like PT. Oh, he's over there. Some amazing people like PT. And it's just a blessing to have some cool people like the three of y'all, the three of us. I can't even get it right.
It's okay. It's Army math. We got it.
I don't do public. What
Hey,
a
we
blessing.
got a show coming out this weekend too. I don't know when the podcast is coming out. If it comes out before the show. If it doesn't, can you edit that?
I can. I can make it happen.
Hey, we got a
Donnell,
show coming out every month, the fourth Saturday of the month. Whether this airs next week or not, y'all just come on out to VGA and have a great time.
Hey, PT, again, we really appreciate you. Appreciate your presence and for you sharing your wisdom, knowledge, and your talent. Truly appreciate it, brother. And then Donnell, don't forget, all you got to do is
Shop, baby.
over and out.